Another day, another war crime. This is the history. This is the life lesson. This is the motive, the game plan. This is the strategy of the Zio-controlled government systems of the West. This is something that we predicted. This is something that's everyone predicted. We saw it miles away. We already knew. We saw it the months coming up and the weeks coming up, and we were talking about how it's likely to happen even before that. This is the same game, happens every year. False flag attack that blames the Syrian government or whatever, replace said government with any government that is opposing the International Monetary Fund, that's opposing the Zionists, that's opposing the United States, or any country controlled by Zio, anyone under the Zio control. It's just the same game. The same old game. War crime after war crime. Even the laws that they set for themselves are not followed, only implied on the people that they want to control. It's the same scenario over and 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 over. I know, it's annoying, right? Yeah, it's really, 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 really annoying. I understand just how annoying it is. So, let's just recap what happened tonight. So, at about 8 o'clock Central Time and 9 o'clock Central Time, Donald Trump came on and announced that we're launching strikes on Syria for the chemical attacks that happened in Douma. Those chemical attacks were 100% staged. The Syrian government came out and said they're staged. The Red Crescent came out and said there's no evidence of any gassing. The Russian government came out and said they're staged. We said they were going to stage it before it happened. The Russian government said they were going to stage it before it happened. And it was going to be funded by the U.S. and Israel. And they found chemical weapons before it even happened in a territory that was being taken over in and around Douma and eastern Syria, eastern Ghouta. And we knew it was happening. It was chemicals that were being sent in from Turkey, sent in from Israel, with instructions being found on how to put and mix these chemicals together with the right proportions to create chlorine gas. It was set and planned. They were being trained near the T4 airport. By Antonov, the small area that the Americans control near Jordan in Syria. We knew it was happening. We already knew. So, Israel retaliated, and the Americans retaliated for the false flag that they created. Yes, the false flag that they created. We already knew. That's not conspiratorial. I'm just repeating actual governments what they said. So, YouTube, go fuck yourself if you try to take this video down. It will be met with a legal challenge. So, let's take a look at these strikes that they took out. So they're saying they basically hit everywhere in the western side of Syria, which is not true. The only confirmed hits that were hit, keep in mind that Syria shot down at least 50 of these Tomahawk missiles, and there was also manned aircraft that attacked as well, according to the United States. But they claim they attacked a research facility for chemical weapons, which is insane. They could claim that's anywhere, but it was a military base and an air base hit in Damascus here. So that's what we know for sure. So some people say, well, they have the right. They don't have to go to war with Syria. They don't have to have UN approval. That is horseshit. Don't give me that 2001 defense or the Patriot Act. That is a criminal, illegal, unconstitutional law. But even under that unconstitutional, should be banned, and the people should be hung for creating that. Even within that law, it states the enemies of America that are responsible for 9/11. Since when was Bashar al-Assad or the Syrian government responsible for 9/11? The only people, according to the U.S. government, responsible for 9/11 was Al-Qaeda. You know who Al-Qaeda is? The White Helmets. The White Helmets are Al-Qaeda. You know who the White Helmets are? They're the ones that provided the supposed evidence for the chemical attacks. The same ones that the government funded. Yes, they funded them. And they have been proven in the past to falsify these chemical weapon attacks. We did a whole series on it last year. Pretty much the same time last year. Go a year down in the description, a year down in my video list, and go watch it. We showed evidence of it being falsified. Same thing happened this time. Evidence was falsified. In fact, Al-Qaeda, according to the videos that they've shown us, showed proof that the captives that they captured, yes, the captives that they captured in Duma, that were of an opposite religious sect, that they held captive, went around in the streets with cages on the back of vehicles and used them as human shields. Those same captives that evidence exists for were the ones that ended up dead in the one video that they showed actual people dead from gassing. And they were all inside a building. And in that video is condemning evidence of the same people that are filming killing those people in that room. Why? Because there is a canister and a open hose where carbon monoxide was coming out of in that room. There's almost a certainty that that carbon monoxide was what was responsible for those people dead in that room. They killed the people in that room to justify a war. That's the reason they did it. I don't know if they'll get the result, but they got an illegal attack without U.S. congressional approval, without going through Congress, without getting war approval. That's what laws are supposed to be there for. But nevertheless, laws do not apply to people that are above the law. We are controlled by Zionists. We are controlled by warhawks, neocons, deep state, whatever you want to call it. They're terrorists. They control our weapons. They tell our men where to aim their bullets, where to aim their missiles and bombs. And they do it because they don't know any better. Or they don't care to know any better because they've been hypnotized. They've been brainwashed. They've been institutionalized. It's the same old pattern. Not only did we not have congressional approval, go check the laws, links in the description, we didn't have the Article 51 of UN Charter enacted, which means it's an international war crime under the UN Charter because we attacked a sovereign nation that is a part of the UN, a UN member state, without UN Security Council approval, because that Article 51 is only to be enacted when it is used in self-defense. But that was never enacted. So this, according to General Mattis, one-time strike to scare Assad into not using chemical weapons again, which was never proven since day one of the Syrian war. It's not a civil war because it's a proxy war funded by the West. Never, not one shred of real evidence has ever been produced. And every bit of evidence that's always provided by the White Helmets, which are affiliated with Al-Qaeda, headquarters up with Al-Nusra, which is Al-Qaeda, and have ISIS flags on their walls, and they celebrate the deaths of civilians and people that are not associated with their same sect, with their same religion, Wahhabism. Those people. It's insane. So let's keep going on. Theresa May, the UK, who also participated in these attacks, are also terrorists. They're also criminals. They're also controlled by Zio-controlled entities. Theresa May did not get Parliament approval through the UK. So, to the people of UK, she is also a terrorist. What do we do with terrorist supporters? Do we just leave a blind eye? Do we just pretend like this never happened? No, we inform people, and we bug them to death until they understand that these people are committing war crimes, killing innocent people. And as far as I know, France, Macron, who also claimed they had proof, which the proof they provided was, again, videos supplied by the White Helmet terrorist, the US, UK-backed terrorist that fund millions of dollars to these terrorists. No Parliament approval, as far as I know, from France as well. That's what I was getting at there. So, We all wonder what Russia's going to do. We always wonder what Russia's going to do. But according to Russia, no U.S. missiles entered their zones, which is the area that's under their control as far as air defense goes. So that's like northern Syria, Latakia, and certain military bases in and around Syria. They said they were not targeted, they were not attacked, and that is assumed. I assumed the U.S. wasn't going to start off World War III, but we never know. We never can know for sure. This is war. A stray missile could have launched into those areas, and boom. Nuclear war. We never know. We never know. It's impossible to determine that. There's several times in the past Cold War that we were on the brink of annihilation. It was up to cold hard steel in their veins to know when and when not to hit those buttons. We just never know. All it takes is one click and boom. Seriously, it's absolutely insane. So yes, of course I didn't assume they were that suicidal, but mistakes can happen. So this is insane, unnecessary, illegal, and the verge of being, I don't know. Continuing on, Russia's response to that was, the strikes on Syria won't remain without consequences. This is sort of what they said last time, but the response to those consequences was, I think, a form of sanctions. We had a removal of any communications beside just one deconfliction zone like they had during the Cold War, and that's how it still is now. So they can't do that now. They have to do something else. So I don't know what they're going to do exactly. Maybe more sanctions. Are they going to do some kind of attack? I don't know. Maybe bolster their military presence around Antonov, bolster their military presence around the Golan, bolster their military presence around the Kurds. But that's the least likely of them all. I don't know what they're going to do. I will inform you on what they do, and if I get any evidence or any news on that, I will update you guys on that, because it is definitely interesting to see how they're going to respond. Iran also has condemned the attacks. I mean, this is the same old, nothing new yet. China has condemned the attacks as well. Nothing else new on that as well. But we're probably not going to get any more information on that for a few hours, because you know how media does. It usually goes in cycles. 6 civilians were killed at least in these attacks when they were attacking these military bases. They were attacking Damascus. Keep in mind, Damascus has been the refugee city of Syria. This is where people have gone. They have flocked to, because this is where a majority of security defense forces of the Syrian Arab Army are, to protect the civilians. This is the safest place they can go, except the suburbs that were around Douma and eastern Ghouta, because they were launching hell cannons. That's why they launched the attacks in the first place. And when they removed their terrorist, you know, the U.S. had to do something about it. They couldn't just sit there and just look like an idiot. It's the same old, same old. So these terrorists that launched attacks in defense of other terrorists killed at least 6 civilians. That's the only casualties I know of as of right now. And pretty much the overall tone from the Syrian side is that these attacks really didn't do a whole lot. Of course, they condemn it to all hell. Of course they do. Of course, they're going to be shouting down the UN tomorrow. They're going to bring up the laws that they're breaking. They're going to demand justice, and the UN is going to do nothing, because they're controlled by Israel and the United States. They have the majority power. There's nothing the UN can do. They have to abide by those leaders. It's why Israel or the US throws a fit anytime they try to do anything against them, and then it quickly gets turned around. But there's people celebrating in the streets, according to Kevwork Almasan, a good friend of mine, who has been posting tweets on the situation. Is probably in the middle of the night like him, just like me, just a week ago when all this started. He's a trooper as well. Definitely go check out his channel on YouTube, Syria Analysis. I'm sure he's going to have great updates on this as well right after me, so we're going to be tag teaming this situation. We always tend to do that because he's in Germany. We have different time zones, so definitely go check his channel out. But he's been posting decent updates about this. He's showed pictures of the Tomahawk missiles being shot down, and the whole thing in general there. So definitely go check out Kevork Almasan on Twitter and his channel, Syria Analysis. So that's all I have right now. There's definitely going to be a lot more information coming out, so I'm going to have my hands full tomorrow. I'm going to get some sleep now because there's really nothing else I can do at the moment, and I've been losing a lot of sleep on the other stuff. And from what I've heard, all the attacks have ceased. That all happened within an hour, and it was over. The United States claimed it was 120 missiles, and Syria is claiming it's somewhere near 50 to 100, somewhere in that ballpark, and they got 50 of them. So we'll figure out the details tomorrow. So everybody continue to keep your eyes open. And as always, this has been Tyranny Unmasked.